I have not seen any genuine effort on the part of the world leaders trying to actually bring about a solution or de-escalate the situation. What I have seen is a consistent effort to actually continually escalate the already escalated situation in that part of the world. But why? I'm going to explain to you why the situation is like this. It will shock you to know that the reason why the globalists are desperate to have this war happen is not only because it had already been planned, because I'm not even sure the planning of the war was meant to happen around the period now that's about to happen. The reason it's about to happen so early is because COVID narrative has now collapsed globally.
We can return to Plan A in England and allow Plan B regulations to expire. As a result, from the start of Thursday next week, mandatory certification will end. Organisations can, of course, choose to use the NHS COVID pass voluntarily, but we will end the compulsory use of COVID status certification in England. From now on, the government is no longer asking people to work from home. And people should now speak to their employers about arrangements for returning to the office. And having looked at the data carefully, the Cabinet concluded that once regulations lapse, the government will no longer mandate the wearing of face masks anywhere. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, from tomorrow we will no longer require face masks in classrooms, and the Department for Education will shortly remove national guidance on their use in communal areas.
Many people thought this was a joke. We didn't think he was serious. We were like, what's going on here? And it was like, this one is not going to happen anymore. This is not going to happen anymore. We are canceling this. We're stopping this. We're stopping that. We're stopping that. But why did he just suddenly do that? Oh, they just love their people that much? You don't know what has been happening in the UK. Nobody will show you that on mainstream media. That's why mainstream media is the greatest enemy of the people. They never showed you what was going on. They did not show you how that NHS staff, whom the authorities have now turned on, were beginning to resist the mandate that was being imposed on them. Remember when it was on the general public, when it was on the general population, NHS was the one receiving the people who were being mandated to get vaccinated. They were the ones now doing the job. But when they were done with the masses, they now turned on the NHS staff and now said that they must receive the vaccine before they are allowed to work. And the people now blew up and said, why? Oh, so you're bringing it to us too? We, the ones that have been putting our lives on the line, you want to tell us that after all the years we have, put into work and schooling, we're just going to lose our rights like that, just in a twinkling of an eye? No, it's not possible. They said they would never take it. Do you know the government, from what I heard, I got phone calls and I saw even documents to prove it, that they were already looking for foreigners, especially from Nigeria, Ghana, and some other places, that they will bring it to UK to come and replace those NHS staff that were now resisting the orders from the government to take their vaccines before they will be allowed to work, because they'd already told them you're going to lose your job. The only way they wanted to meet up with the emergencies or fill up the vacuum was to bring Africans and Asians to come and flood the place, give them quick emergency training, and let them replace the ones that are going to lose their jobs. And the NHS staff said, oh, really? You have hit a roadblock right here. That's why NHS staff went to 10 Downing Street. They protested there for a very long time. They were throwing their uniforms at 10 Downing, number 10 Downing. The guy didn't know what to do. Even the police officers at number 10 Downing, the uniforms were even landing on their heads. NHS staff waged a massive war against the globalists, against the system in the UK. Not one mainstream news media published or showed you what they were doing. It was NHS that led the revolution that brought Boris Johnson to make that announcement. And immediately they succeeded All of them went back to their jobs. Now, because mainstream media was not showing it, some right-wing media outlets were now showing it, and people from other parts of the world also took a cue from the UK, and this protest was happening in Brussels, it was happening in Switzerland, it was happening in Spain, it was happening in Sweden, and then it even began to spread to Australia, that became a draconian state. Australia made China look like the best democracy on earth. It became a very tyrannical state because of COVID. People could not breathe in Australia anymore. But because of what happened in the UK, people also summoned courage and began to protest in Australia as well. But then guess what? I believe that it was also what happened in the UK that gave the Canadian truckers the opportunity or the guts to decide to protest the mandate that was so crushing on these truckers in Canada. And so they started just with trickles, driving to the street and saying, we can't take this anymore. Before you know it, tens of thousands of truckers, and before you know it, they became so popular. Up to today, 2 weeks down the line, they have shut down most of Canada. They even raised 10 million recently, and GoFundMe refused to give it to them. They have raised another 5 million within days, and I don't know whether they are going to give that to them. Everybody is supporting. Even the police officers in Canada are supporting them because everybody is fed up with the whole COVID-19 narrative. So what you see happening all over the world, the same truckers now that are shutting Canada down, they have also started in Australia, they've started in New Zealand, they've started even in America, Washington, D.C., they won't show you in the news. They've started in different parts of the world. So what you're looking at is the whole COVID-19 narrative is collapsing on a global scale, because their plan was that when they announced Omicron, the plan was to begin to tighten the measures and tighten the mandate and make it even more difficult for people to breathe. But all of a sudden, the reverse became the case. So you see Fauci and so many of all these mandate proponents beginning to say that, well, it looks like the whole thing, the death rate is dropping, so many things are happening. So now it's like they have to begin to loosen up a little bit, begin to relax the mandate. This is what we are hearing from America, from UK, from so many other countries. In other words, mandate narrative is collapsed completely all over the world.
Starting tomorrow, we don't have to wear masks anymore.
Now, look at the one that is going to scare you the most. The one that will scare you, which is what will now help you understand why this war is necessary, why it's important to them. There is an organization of international lawyers. Guess what they are championing? They want to charge these people with killing innocent citizens because of the mandate or COVID-related laws that they passed in their different districts and nations. If they succeed, it means that most of these globalists are no longer safe. Many of them are going to have to go and face the court or go to jail. Many of them are going to face the wrath of the people because the people have had it up to here. People are not taking it lightly anymore. The protests that are happening in places that you don't see on mainstream media, it draws tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. But nobody is showing you this. And the globalists are seeing this thing. That's why they tell the mainstream media people not to talk about it. But they know that they are running scared. There's so much panic in their camps right now. And because of the terrible panic they have in their camps, what is happening is that they want something that will distract the whole world from the punishment that they are supposed to receive for what they have done to people, to innocent people. And the only best distraction they can get at this time would have to be a world war. So this war is very, very important to them. This war is indispensable. Like, they cannot do without the war. If the war does not come, if this war does not happen, the anger of the people will boil over, and these guys will not be able to stand it. They themselves are now admitting that the death rate is reducing. All the nations that are still doing mandate, I don't know what they're still waiting for. But the truth has come out that this thing is not supposed to be the way they made it to be. And people have died because of that. So they need a war. That's why mediations are not making sense. And this war, in case you don't know that it's going to be a third war, in case you don't believe it's going to be a third world war, I want you to listen to what Biden said when he was making reference to this war.
President Biden says a Russian invasion of Ukraine would be the largest invasion since World War II.
His comments come as the U.S. continues to deliver military supplies and weapons in preparation for a possible invasion. The president's remarks reflect a growing consensus that any conflict in Ukraine will quickly escalate beyond the country's borders.
The largest invasion since World War II. The man used the word World War II. After World War II, what is the next? It's World War III. That's what we've been talking about. He's told you. This is how they talk. This is how they reveal secrets. It will be the largest invasion since World War II. And if it is the largest invasion since World War II, Russia will also receive the largest intervention from the West since World War II. And that largest intervention from the West will come from America, from Europe, NATO. And of course, Russia is not going to sit idly and watch. Their partner, China, is also going to join them. And whoever wins will take over the other person's territory. And at that moment, China has seen a very brilliant opportunity to quickly move and take over Taiwan, while Russia then occupies Ukraine. And America is probably descended on with nuclear weapons. And Europe is decimated with nuclear weapons. And maybe the Arabs will turn on Africa. Who knows? It's going to be mass chaos everywhere. I hate to do this sometimes. I hate to explain this sometimes. You don't know how I feel when I have to explain this, but the burden when it comes on me doesn't leave me alone. It's almost like I'm gasping for breath. I know this has the potential to scare people, but this is the truth of what is happening. I'm being very honest with you. This is the truth. You watch your TV. Go online. If you can't see your TV, go read the news and see. Look at the body language of these guys. They already know the war is coming. Weapons have never stopped flooding into Ukraine. They are flooding Ukraine with weapons, even while they claim they are having negotiations. Because they know that the war is a fait accompli. It's coming. And it's going to be very devastating. It's going to be a nuclear war. Putin has already said it. It's going to be a nuclear war. Who's going to fire the first shot? Could it be the mercenaries inside Ukraine firing the first shot at Russia and saying, oh, it was Russia that did it, and then Russia invades, and nobody will say, this is what happened. Because if you fire a shot at Russia, Russia would not tell the world because they don't have a lot of media. All the media houses on earth, 99% of them are in favor of the globalists. They are owned by the globalists. Russia has only RT, Russia Today. How would they let the whole world know that, hey, we've been attacked? So they can't say anything. The only thing they will do, they'll just move in and attack immediately. And the attack is what the world will see. That's what CNN will show you. That's what MSNBC will show you. Nobody will show you if anything happened before they attack. So we don't know who is going to attack first. We don't know if there will be a provocation from inside Ukraine or if Russia is just going to decide and say, you know what, I've had enough. And listen to what is going on. The reason why the war is still waiting, it didn't happen immediately because Russia was actually ready at some point before we go to this point. Russia was ready to take action. But what we heard from everything we've heard is that they were waiting to finish the agreement with China. They already knew they were going to fight with China. But the thing was that they were also waiting for China to finish the PR stunt. You know, a lot of people have been protesting the Olympics that's taking place in China right now because of the human rights records of China. Many people have been protesting. So China hosting this Olympics is more like a PR stunt for China as a nation. So Russia does not want to enter into a war while China is still carrying out their PR stunt. So many are speculating that they are probably going to wait for China to finish and then they can now enter into this war. Or maybe they are going to wait for the thing to go halfway and start. But because they are going to fight with China, everybody's speculation now is that they are going to wait. And if the West wants to mess up the plans of Russia, they will probably, provoke something before the Olympics finishes and put Russia in a very tight corner. Because at that time, China cannot be having Olympics and be joining Russia to go and enter into war. So there's a lot that is going on at the same time. So every day you wake up, you know that anything can happen at any time. But the question that I put out to everyone watching me right now is, how prepared are you? I know how tough it can be sometimes to be prepared, but how prepared are you? You have seen from the last dream that I shared with us, you can see that so many people had similar dreams. So after all, our continent in Africa is not all that's, exempted. What are we doing? Are there intercessors who really pray very well? Are there people who are gifted to pray? Are there people who know how to fast and cry out to God for mercy? Because beyond prayers, what do we have? What do we have to ward off an intruding enemy in Africa? How prepared are you? Have you stocked some foods that can easily be used after a long period of storage? Have you got canned? Have you done anything within your little power? Or you just dismiss this whole thing and say, forget it, just in case? We do this just in case. It could be possible that this thing will happen and God will not allow it to get to Africa. He will spare. That's why we are calling for prayer warriors to please get on your knees and let us pray to God for mercy, that He will spare us, that He will let this storm pass over all of us. And I know that if we cry unto Him, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, I will hear. These people are on a suicide mission. They don't care anymore. They want to make sure that they close their evil tracks. And they will do anything to make sure that happens. So please let us pray. Let us pray. I believe that God will hear us and that He will keep us. God bless you.